We were provided a review key, however that has no effect on this review. Side-scrolling platformers aren't a rarity these days. Between Steam and itch.io, you will have plenty to choose from, so it really takes something to make a game stand out. For some, it could be the art style. For others, it could be a unique game mechanic. There are even those rare ones where it's a combination of the two. But where many platformers fail is how their game feels to play. In a game like Pug Switch, which is an automatic side-scroller, the feeling of the platforming is crucial to the user experience. The movement needs to feel fluid, but can't be too loose. It also needs to be snappy, but it can't feel like it's on a grid. There's a really fine line that needs to be found by the developer when making a platformer. And Pug Switch misses that line by a mile. As I mentioned before, this is an automatic side-scroller, so your character moves itself. You only have 2 buttons to press, so I'll start with the jumping and basic feel of movement. As your character is just running along, you will have to jump over obstacles such as blocks and spikes. When you jump, the longer you hold the button, the higher your little pug will go. To a certain extent, of course. However, as soon as you let go of the jump button, it feels as if your pug weighs 1,000 pounds as it comes crashing down in a super snappy way that does not feel intuitive at all. The second button is for your switching ability. I was using an Xbox One controller, so when I would press B, a little animation would play and I would switch to my interdimensional pug twin. The switching ability is the game's only real mechanic. It's even in the name. Pug Switch. Yet, in its current form, I feel like the game would be better without it. As I said, a little animation plays every time you switch forms. But that animation can end up blocking a part of where you are landing, so you couldn't see if you were about to run into a spike and have to be sent back to a checkpoint. Even worse is that every time you switch, it causes a little slowdown effect with the animation. It almost feels like a little pause. How can a platformer feel fluid if your main mechanic causes the game to feel like it paused for 1/4 of a second? Now that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it is just enough to really make Pug Switch feel janky. And you can see the jank in the gameplay footage on the screen. That's not my recording acting weird. This game felt like that on 2 of my PCs and even when I wasn't recording. Is it supposed to feel this way? Is it a bug? I don't know. The game isn't out yet, but I am reviewing the state of the game that I have. If a patch releases on launch day that fixes some of the issues, then I will update this. However, that is highly unlikely. Not everything is bad though. I really enjoy this art style. It was the main thing that pulled me towards this game in the first place. It's vibrant and fun, some of the little cutscenes for the story are well done, and the presentation is just great. There are little boss sections at the end of each world that you run through, but they aren't really anything special. In fact, the first one is simpler than the levels you ran through to get there. I guess the last thing to talk about really are the power-ups and objects spread throughout the levels. Some of them can be quite good and others quite awful. I personally love the little power-up that launches you up into the air when you hit it. They can be incorporated in neat ways, such as you needing to fall off of a ledge, almost to your death, to hit the power-up, which then launches you onto a ledge you wouldn't have been able to reach otherwise. Many times in these areas you will find the secret purple coins you can collect. Now, for the awful, you have the gate that makes you swap forms automatically whenever you enter it. It's a great concept in theory, but the fact that swapping forms slows down the speed of the game for 1/4 of a second or so, going through 3 or 4 of those gates in a row can be quite jarring and just super frustrating. Pug Switch is possibly the worst feeling platformer I've ever played, but it's not all bad. I mean, it's also not good, and that's why it deserves its 2 out of 10 rating. This key was provided for this review. Thank you so much for watching our review of Pug Switch. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe. If you want to keep up with us outside of YouTube, follow us over on Twitter, at InputSource or use the links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.